Yesterday, Sayadaw explained that in the field of objects to be noted, by noting the presently arising object, as soon as the object arises, with aim and effort, with sustained mindfulness, when the concentration becomes strong, yogi discerns distinctly between nama and rupa, cause and effect. And yogi also comes to discern the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. The objects arise and pass away, and thus they are impermanent, and they are no good as they constantly arise and pass away, and there is nothing that can stop them from arising, and there is no atta. And there is no atta that can create the rising of the abdomen. If the person does not discern the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self, there will be wrong view of permanence. Only if one knows that things are suffering, one will know them that they are no good. And also, knowing that things are arising in their own accord, one understands that things do not arise according to one's wishes. Not discerning correctly, one thinks that one can see if one wants to see, one can hear if one wants to hear. In this way, one believes in atta, the delicate form of atta. By discerning that things arise in its own accord, one comes to know that nothing arises according to one's wishes. In the nama rupa that are connecting to each other as cause and effect, these nama rupa has the common characteristics. In order to discern the characteristics, one should be mindful of every arising object. And Sayadaw has been explaining how yogis should be mindful of every arising object. And yesterday, Sayadaw started to explain the three things that yogis should understand. The first one is Anicca, the second Aniccalakkhana, and the third is Aniccanupassana jnana. Khandha Pañcaka, Anicca, meaning the five aggregates, which are made up of the aggregate of materiality and aggregate of mentality, are all anicca, impermanent. So among the five aggregates, there are nama and rupa. Nama is the mentality that can cognize the object. Rupa is the materiality that cannot cognize the object. So these nama, rupa, mentality and materiality, these two are arising within oneself. The nama rupa does not stay the same after arising. They dissolve after arising, and thus all the nama rupa are anicca, impermanent. Whatever nama rupa that arises passes away, and thus all the nama rupa are anicca, impermanent. Everything, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, bandage stretching, opening and closing of the eyes, blinking, everything arises and passes away. Every nama rupa are anicca, impermanent. Aniccalakkhana is the characteristic of dissolution after it has arisen. Sayadaw gives an example of heat. Heat arises at one moment and dissolves at another. The nama rupa arise and pass away like a stream of current. So in a stream of current, if the person takes a look, the person may think it is the same water, but instead the old water flowing, new water arriving, old water flowing, new water arriving. Because the old water and the new water, they have the same visible, they have the same sight, one may think it is the same water, but actually it is not. The old water had already flown, the new water arrived in the place. So in this way, the old giving rise to new. In the same way, whatever the nama rupa that arises and passes away are all anicca, impermanent. So these anicca, the nama rupa that are impermanent, can be discerned directly. The knowledge that discerns directly the nama rupa, they are not theoretical knowledge, they are not the knowledge gained from teachers, but by noting the object at the moment the object arises, yogi discerns the nama rupa. Noting heat, yogi discerns that heat is one thing, the noting mind that notes the heat is another. So in this way, yogi discerns the object and the noting mind are apart from each other, and yogi discerns the nama and rupa, the noting mind that knows the object and the object that has been noted. The noting mind that notes the heat is the nama mentality. The heat is the materiality, the object that has been noted. So yogi discerns the nama and rupa, mentality and materiality, apart from each other. These nama rupa, they are not permanent, they arise and pass away. So whatever nama rupa that arises and pass away are all anicca, impermanent. The old giving rise to new. The manner is called akara. So the manner of passing away after it has arisen is called Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence. Sayadaw explained yesterday about the Anicca and Aniccalakkhana, and today Sayadaw continues to explain that the Anicca are the impermanent, the nama rupa are all anicca, impermanent. The manner of dissolving after it has arisen is the Aniccalakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. Among the two, Anicca and Aniccalakkhana, the second one, the Aniccalakkhana, should not be looked for deliberately, as Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence, is not paramattha, it is not the ultimate reality, it is just the manner. So the Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence, is just the manner, or in other way, it is just a concept. It's just a manner concept. Concept arises based on the manner of the paramattha, the ultimate truth. So the Aniccalakkhana, characteristic of impermanence, because it is a manner concept, because it is not paramattha, it is not ultimate reality, yogi should not be looking for the characteristic of impermanence. So some of the yogis, they have misunderstanding. Some of the teachers may be guiding them to look for the beginning, middle, and the end of rising, beginning, middle, and the end of falling, which should not be done. Yogis should be mindful of anicca, impermanent. Yogis should be mindful of the paramattha, the ultimate reality. So, but instead, some of the yogis have been looking for beginning, middle, and the end of rising, falling, and they are wasting their time without any benefit. So the time that they have been wasting looking for the beginning, middle, and the end of objects is not beneficial. It's just a waste of time. What should be observed? Anicca should be observed as it is really present, as it really exists. What really exists are the nama and rupa, mentality and materiality, and they are paccaka dhamma. They can be discerned directly, and they are called Bhuta as they arise due to circumstances and conditions. So one should be mindful of the object that really arise in the way they really are, and by observing repeatedly, yogi discern the nature, the cause and effect of these objects. So in order to discern the nature, yogis should be mindful of the objects that are arising at the present moment. The objects such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, all of these objects are to be noted. In the beginning of the practice, yogi cannot note every object. So the beginner yogi has to start noting few and simple objects such as rising and falling of the abdomen. Rising of the abdomen is connected with breathing in, and yogis should be mindful of the rising of the abdomen from the very beginning throughout the end of rising. So yogis should not be looking for the beginning, middle, or the end of rising and falling. So the beginning, middle, and the end are stated just to show the range of mindfulness. When noting rising and falling of the abdomen, which are called anicca, impermanent, when the mindfulness should cover the whole rising, starting from the very beginning all the way through till the end of rising. So the beginning, middle, or the end just shows the range of mindfulness, that the mindfulness should cover from the very beginning of the rising all the way through till the end of rising. And yogis should not be looking for the beginning, middle, or the end of falling. So this beginning, middle, and the end will automatically be obvious when noting the whole rising from the beginning all the way through till the end. So yogis are asked to note the rising and falling of the abdomen. They are not advised to be noting the beginning, the middle, or the end. When noting rising and falling of the abdomen, they should be noting with the mental labeling as rising and falling. And yogis should be mindful. Yogis should know the object properly so that they come to know the sabhava, the nature, the characteristics of the object. Bhutan bhutato pasati. Bhutan means the objects that are arising, that are present, that really exist. Bhutato is the way the object arises, in the way the object exists. And in order to know the object, yogis should put effort in the practice so that sati, mindfulness, and samadhi, concentration, develops, and yogi discerns anicca, impermanent. So in order that the yogis should understand what they should be noting rising and falling of the abdomen. The range of their mindfulness should be from the very beginning of the rising all the way through till the end of rising. But some of the yogis, especially Westerners, they misunderstood that they should be noting the beginning, middle, and the end of rising, falling. So they're wasting their time looking for the beginning, middle, and the end of rising. Yogis should be mindful of the nama rupa that are arising. So when noting the object, yogis should not just note it once or twice and turn the attention to the other object, but yogis should note the object repeatedly again and again. So there should be anupassana, repeated observation of the object. In the word anupassana, anu means repeatedly, again and again. So when noting rising and falling, yogis should not just note once or twice, but yogis should not lose of the object. Whatever the object arises, yogis should note the object repeatedly, again and again, so that yogis will not lose sight of the object. So the objects that are arising are paramattha, they are ultimate reality, and they are anicca, impermanent. So the nama rupa that are arising, they are all paramattha, and they are arising continuously, one after another. And by being mindful of them, yogi discerns the nama rupa and the cause and effect. By noting, yogis discern the true nature of the object. By noting the object. So by noting the object, yogi sees the object arises and passes away. So yogi discerns that the object is not permanent as it arises and passes away. And it is Aniccanupassana jnana, the knowledge of impermanence by noting the object repeatedly again and again. By noting the object repeatedly again and again, yogi discerns the unique individual characteristics as well as the common characteristics. So very important to know the unique individual characteristics of these objects, and yogi will also discern the common characteristics. By noting the object again and again, when the yogi sees the dissolution of the object, by noting it, yogi discerns the impermanence, and it is called Aniccanupassana jnana, knowledge into impermanence. The example is given. For example, heat arises. Heat is anicca, impermanent. When heat arises in the body, yogi note it as hot, hot. So noting it as hot, hot, repeatedly again and again, it is Aniccanupassana, observing the heat repeatedly again and again. Noting the heat repeatedly again and again, noting it as hot, hot, yogi sees the arising of the heat, dissolution of the heat. The first heat arises and passes away. The second heat arises and passes away. The third heat arises and passes away. In this way, yogi discerns heat arising and passing away one after another. So in this way, when the noting mind is very close to the object, yogi sees not only one heat, but one heat after another, arising, passing away. First heat arising, passing away. Second heat arises, passes away. The third heat arises, passes away. So in this way, by noting the heat as hot, hot repeatedly, yogi discerns the arising and passing away. Discerning the passing away of the heat, when noting it as hot, hot, yogi discerns the impermanence. So by noting the heat, when the yogi discerns the dissolution of the heat, by noting it as hot, hot, yogi comes to discern the impermanence. So the knowledge is not gained through reflecting, but the knowledge is gained through by noting the object. So Aniccanupassana jnana is the knowledge that arises by discerning the dissolution of the object when noting the object repeatedly again and again. And it is also called Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge. The heat is anicca, impermanent. The arising and dissolution is the Aniccalakkhana characteristics of impermanence. Heat is the unique individual characteristic. Arising and passing away is the Samanya-lakkhana, common characteristic. When heat arises, yogi should notice labeling as hot, hot. So when heat arises, yogi should note it as hot, hot. Anicca viridabha, one should discern impermanence. So by noting heat as hot, yogi is discerning the heat that is impermanent. So it is not the knowledge that arises by reflection, but it is the knowledge that arises by noting the object. When heat arises, yogi should note it, aiming the mind onto the heat, putting effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of heat. Noting the heat with aim and effort, the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object. So yogi needs to note the object with his mental strength, viriya, effort, so that sati, mindfulness develops, samadhi, concentration develops, and yogi discerns correctly. So in this way, yogi should note the object with ardent effort, aiming the noting mind onto the object, asserting effort in the practice, noting it repeatedly again and again. So one should aim, direct the mind, which is one of the dharmic factors. One should also apply ardent effort in noting so that sati and samadhi, mindfulness and concentration develop. And anicca, vedidabba, yogi should discern the impermanence. So in the case of heat, yogi discerns the heat, which is impermanent. And that should be anupassana. Yogi should note it repeatedly as hot, hot. Discerning the manner of arising and passing away, yogi discerns Aniccalakkhana, characteristics of impermanence. So as soon as heat arises, as soon as the object heat arises, when the heat is present, yogi should note it as hot, hot. Noting the heat as hot, yogi discerns anicca. Yogi discerns the heat that is anicca, impermanent. Noting it as hot, hot, yogi discerns the arising and passing away of the heat. Yogi sees the dissolution of the heat after it has arisen. Knowing the arising and dissolution of heat, yogi discerns Aniccalakkhana, characteristics of impermanence. Aniccanupassana, vedidabba, yogi should also know that knowledge of impermanence also arises. So if the yogi does not know them, yogi should note in order to discern. Aniccanupassana, vedidabba, yogi should discern the knowledge into impermanence. So yogi will know that such knowledge has arisen when the yogi gets to the stage. Discerning Aniccanupassana jnana, developing knowledge into impermanence, yogi has developed Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge. So as the yogi has discerned the samanya lakkhana, common characteristics, yogi develops Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge. In the word Vipassana, Vi means outstandingly, and Passana means knowing. Vipassana means knowing outstandingly, distinctly. It is not the theoretical knowledge. It is not the knowledge gained, learning from teacher. If a knowledge is learned from a teacher, it will be more theoretical. And now the explanations are given from theoretical and practical aspects. So these explanations, yogi will not be discerning the real paramatha. Yogis do not discern the ultimate reality by learning from teacher or from theory. So the Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge excels the theoretical knowledge. It is outstanding knowledge. Discerning Sabhava Lakkhana, unique individual characteristics, Samanya Lakkhana, common characteristics, by noting the object. When the yogi discerns the dissolution of the object after it has arisen, yogi develops Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, that is outstanding. However, one may have theoretical knowledge how one should practice, but without any practice, the person will not discern. The knowledge will just be theoretical knowledge. And the things that the person thinking, imagining is not the knowledge, it will just be imagination and thought. And the knowledge that is gained through reading or from teacher is just theoretical, without any practice. Without any practice, one cannot discern the Paramattha, the ultimate reality. Some of the yogis, they have been practicing a little, but they have been explaining their experience in very lengthy way, a long talk to the teacher what they find. So actually they are practicing little but talking much. So the things that they will be saying will not be true as they practice very little but talking much. And there will be what they say will not be correct, and there will be doubt, uncertainty, confusion arises. For the yogis who practice well, who practice accurately, they will explain from their true knowledge. Such yogis who practice accurately, precisely, they will be able to report properly. Their report will be from what they found out, from their knowledge, and their report will be correct. By noting the presently arising object systematically, yogi can discern the unique individual characteristics and common characteristics, and they will gain knowledge by noting the object. What they report will be from their knowledge, from their true knowledge. There will not be any confusion or doubt, but their knowledge is clear, and thus there will not be any confusion or doubt. By being mindful of the presently arising object, by noting it precisely, accurately, properly, yogi will discern the unique individual characteristics and common characteristics, and such kind of yogis can report short to the point, very clearly, precisely, and concisely. And Jaraji encourages the yogis to practice properly so that they will discern the truth and they will be able to explain concisely, precisely also. And that will be all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.